Namaste. Welcome back to Awaken Living with Nibodhi. Today we're diving into a sacred and very powerful topic, embracing all parts of ourself. We're entering into scary but sacred territory, the ground of our entire being, the underbelly of the entire human experience, and the radiance of our soul. This is not just some poetic idea. It is the radical, embodied, and spiritual, mature practice of being a human living on the planet. Today, we're going to explore the path of wholeness through the lens of Shiva, tantra, Ayurveda, Vedic philosophy and psychology, yogic psychology, and the modern work of compassionate inquiry. And we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. This isn't for the lighthearted. We're going to talk about shame. We're going to talk about fear and contraction and trauma and how every single part of us is a sacred doorway to awakening. This isn't some feel-good affirmation or a trendy self-love slogan. It's an invitation to radical awareness, radical awakening, radical living, and radical liberation. It's a deep reclamation of what it means to be whole. And it's challenging. We're not just talking about embracing the parts of us that are calm and peaceful and lovey-dovey and productive and spiritual and all that. We're talking about the hardest parts, the rage, the collapse, the heartache, the parts that get triggered, the parts of us that feel shame or fear. We feel like we're too little or too much, or we say the wrong thing. All the parts that the Western culture has been telling us that are not appropriate, that are not functional, that are not spiritual, that are not acceptable. So today, we're going to walk the path of Tantra, of Ayurveda, of Vedic psychology, of compassionate inquiry, and of our own embodied living, our own embodied truth. So we can see the divine, not in spite of our mess, through it, through all the mess. In the Shiva Tantric tradition, especially the non-dual tradition like Kashmir Shaivism, there's a fundamental principle, a fundamental teaching. It says this: everything is consciousness. Everything is Shiva and Shakti, the union of the divine masculine and feminine, the creative, pure awareness of life. There's not an atom of existence in this whole creation that's not sacred. This is the tradition of non-dual. It says there is not pure or impure. There is not sacred and profane. There's one consciousness dancing as the entire experience, as all experiences. In this tantric tradition, it's not trying to transcend the world. It's awakening to its divinity, all of it, every part. The goal isn't to eliminate the shadow or to destroy the ego or suppress the triggers. It's not a path of aesthetic denial. It's actually a path of total inclusion, embracing the entire creation. It's the fierce and tender dance of embracing everything as self. Liberation or moksha is not found by rejection. It's found by recognizing the divine in everything, in everyone, in all experiences. It's the recognition of the self as the supreme consciousness. It's not a disembodied spirit floating above the body, not part of it. It is the self in form. It is the self crying and laughing and raging and longing and loving and all of it. And what it really involves more than anything is the recognition of our own true divine nature, which ultimately has been obscured by our ignorance, the ignorance of not knowing who we are. What this ultimately means is that our emotions are not failures. They're not wrong. There's no good, bad, right, or wrong. Our panic attack is not failure of practice. It's Shakti expressing a contraction. Our jealousy is not an unspiritual weakness. It's energy that's calling for more love, our own love. And every emotion we have is this divine mudra of God. Every experience is the asana of our soul longing to remember itself. When fear shows up, when shame floods us, when our nervous system is completely dysregulated and we're yelling at the kids or our partner, that's also God. That's Shakti. That's the pulsation of life. That contraction is also divine. What Vedic psychology calls us is vasana. It means latent impression or pattern, a tendency that arises from previous karmas, from conditioning. The great late mystic Western teacher, Yogi Ram Dass, said, our vasanas will always be there. The question is, how are we in relationship with them? We don't actually eradicate these patterns. We see them. And by seeing them, we hold them. And by holding them, we love them. And through that loving awareness, we can become free. Not by judging or blaming them or hiding them or feeling that we're terrible or anything like that. It's through seeing, holding, and loving with awareness that we become free. Ayurveda teaches us that our body, the mind, the emotions, they're not problems to be solved. They're divine messengers, and each dosha carries a vibrational frequency, a pulse of this divine intelligent life. Each dosha brings in a spectrum of qualities, gifts, and challenges. For example, vata may bring creativity, but it also brings anxiety. When vata is out of balance, we may feel anxious, we may feel scattered, we may feel fearful. Behind that fear is an invitation to ground, to nourish, to slow down. Pitta may bring this divine, sharp intelligence, this light of awareness and creative. And it also can bring fiery anger. And that anger is our soul's cry for justice, for precision, for better alignment. And kapha can bring stability at the same time. It can bring depression and withdrawal. And that depression is a call to awaken from the stagnation and reclaim joy. Western medicine kind of tells us the opposite of all this. Western medicine says, treat the symptom, suppress the emotion, and go back to work and produce something. But Ayurveda is totally different. It asks us a question, some very important questions. What's the intelligence behind the imbalance? What is the unmet need behind the imbalance? What is the soul longing for? What is the message? What is our body and soul trying to tell us or ask from us? Every emotional pattern is life force. It's Shakti telling us something. Shakti saying, this part of me needs attention. This wound needs love. This wound needs healing. This part of me wants to be seen and known. Even disease, dis-ease, can become a portal to consciousness if we inquire into it. Pain can become sacred if it's listened to, and emotions become this river of grace when we allow them to flow and speak, but not if we suppress them, not if we shut them down, not if we judge them, not if we see them as being wrong. When we acknowledge this is the path. This is the beginning of the path to our own liberation, to moksha, not by escaping life, but by turning towards it, to tuning into it, by listening to the cry of our wounded inner child, the listening to the constriction in our belly, the contraction in our body, the tightness in our chest, and saying, yes, I hear you, I see you, I feel you, and you're welcome, and how may I hold you? In the Western psyche, so many of us, actually I think all of us, grew up learning that some parts of us were welcome and others weren't. We were taught to smile even if we didn't feel like it. If we felt sad, we were taught to sit still when we felt anger and rage. We were taught to be polite instead of authentic. We were raised in a culture, don't cry, especially if you're a boy. Boys don't cry. There's an amazing song by the band The Cure, Boys Don't Cry. If you don't know it, check it out. We were raised in a culture that tells us to be strong, be a man up, don't be afraid, don't be too sensitive, smile. We learned to demonize the parts of ourselves that didn't fit in, those tender parts, the weird parts, the freaky parts. One of my favorite musicians in the world, Michael Franti, said, all the freaky people make the beauty of the world. My God, who wants to be normal in this world? Be beautiful, freaky people. Be yourself. We learned to demonize parts that couldn't keep up with the machine, the machine of modern life. These subtle messages exiled us. It exiled our inner child, and they buried and suppressed our authentic self. And they created an inner environment where only certain parts were allowed to thrive. I had a t-shirt growing up as a young boy called Question Authority. And the authority for some part, for me, what it meant was the external authority telling us to bury the authentic self. And I wasn't having it. But also the authority of the ego telling me that I was separate because I didn't have a good role model to look within. So we should question authority, the external authority, but also the internal authority, but with love, with understanding. We need to allow the parts of us that were buried to come to the surface. In Compassionate Inquiry, the work of Dr. Gabor Mate, there's so many beautiful questions. It's just inquiring with compassion, with empathy. So many beautiful questions we can explore to get to the truth of what's actually happening inside of us. One question, what is underneath the pattern? What's happening? Why is this pattern there? What is the unmet need in this situation? What part of us had to be exiled for survival? We learned survival instead of thrival. And part of that is being loved. So another question is, what did we have to suppress in order to be loved? You're loved if you get a good grade, or you do the dishes, or you clean your room. How about just being loved because you're a kid and we're supposed to be loved? But what part of the truth did we have to abandon in order to be safe? The path of healing is not to destroy the exiled parts. It's to bring them home, to bring the angry child home, to bring the grieving prepubescent young girl home, to bring the terrified boy home, the lost teenager. They're all waiting at the door of our heart. All we have to do is open the door. And we're the one that's been waiting. We're the one we've been waiting for. That's this beautiful saying. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. We're waiting to come home, and we're waiting to open the door to our own heart. This podcast, this path, this community, we're not here to bypass those parts. We're here to bring them home, to love them into wholeness. The path of awakening is not about retreating to a cave in the Himalayas or transcending the world. We don't need to run to that cave. The cave might be really awesome. I've gone to the caves. They're actually really fun. They're really awesome. I love being in caves. But we don't need to do that. We don't need to leave the job. We don't need to leave our marriage or our children or our body. We need to embrace it. Tantra teaches us that the world itself is the field of practice. That is the battlefield. It's the battlefield of the Mahabharata. And this isn't metaphorical. It's our own living room. The battlefield is our workplace. It's our bedroom. It's our mind. It's our heart. It's our body. We were not meant to escape the world. We're meant to embody the divine within it. That's why this world was created. The divine creative power decided to make this beautiful, beautiful playground, and then us and the sense organs to play, to enjoy, to embody the divinity. We meet every moment then. Every conflict, every chore, every breath is an opportunity to awaken. And then we can bring that presence to our own pain. We can bring that awareness to our triggers. We can bring compassion to all the contractions and constrictions. And then we reclaim the sacred in the mundane. Because there is no more mundane. Everything becomes sacred. We recognize that this moment itself right now is God. Whether you're wiping your child's tears, or you're sitting in a traffic jam, or you're sitting with a difficult conversation with your partner or your boss, that too is sacred ground. That is the fire that purifies, that transforms. We're in the right place. Liberation happens here in the traffic jam, in the sleepless night, in the fight with your boss or your partner, in the tears on the bathroom floor, walking alone in the forest, wondering what's the purpose, the meaning of it all. Each moment can be an initiation, a doorway into the sacred, into the divine. The tantric sages knew all this. They knew that life itself was a temple, and that the more we actually embrace life versus pushing it away, the more life force, the more Shakti can move through us. We become a vessel for Shakti. We become aware that we're already a vessel for Shakti, and we open to that. We surrender to that. The sun is always shining. We just need to open the curtain and the windows to get that warm ray. So it's a return to our inner sunshine. It's a return to our wholeness. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this. It's really hard. It's a challenge. And none of us are alone. We're not sugarcoating anything. We're naming the truth. And the truth is, the path is really hard. It's work. It requires a lot of work. The path of awakening and embracing every part of yourself requires work. It is not easy. The spiritual path is not necessarily always peaceful or blissful. Sometimes it's really messy. It's really loud. And yeah, it's really inconvenient. It's raw. You are going to be stretched. It's not for the faint of heart. If you want to have, there's a saying, ignorance is bliss, except for that it's not. Knowing the self is bliss. You will be asked to sit in the fire of your unprocessed grief and trauma, to meet the shame that we've hidden for years, to hold space for the parts of ourself that feel unworthy. We are being stretched. It's being patient with the parts of ourself that still don't feel safe, no matter how much love is surrounding us, no matter how many friends truly have our back. Sometimes we just don't feel safe, and that sucks, no matter what we do. Sometimes we'll feel like giving up and doing all this work and nothing's happening. Actually, it's not true. It's like peeling the layers of the onion. It requires tears. Sometimes it feels like we're not doing the right thing. Sometimes it feels like we're not okay, and that's okay to not feel okay. But peeling the onion of a layer, peeling the layer of an onion sometimes requires a lot of tears. There's a story about a pool boy who's cleaning the pool, and his boss says, clean the pool. And he gets the net and he cleans the pool, and he says, all right, the pool's nice and clean. And the boss says, what are you talking about? It's such a mess. And he says, no, it's spotless. I cleaned it. And so the boss takes the net and stirs it all up, and all the stuff comes up from the bottom. And then he says, look, why'd you tell me you cleaned it? It's not clean. And so he cleans it again, and he goes back to his boss. And he says, boss, I cleaned it. And the boss says, what are you talking about? It's filthy. And he says, no, it's spotless. He says, no, it's filthy. He stirs it again, and it comes up, and he cleans it. He's caught on now. There's a lot of stuff down there. And so he starts stirring it up himself intentionally with awareness, and then cleans it up himself. Sometimes this takes years. Sometimes this takes lifetimes. And yeah, this is the work of liberation, not the easy bypass. It's the slow, holy descent into the depth of our being. Layer by layer, breath by breath, we peel back the armor. We touch the wound. We offer love, and we remember. And we don't have to do it all today. And you don't have to force it. And if it doesn't feel safe yet to go there, that's okay too. We have all the time in creation. The nervous system will only heal when it feels safety, not in speed. If you're on the racetrack going 200 miles an hour, you may not feel that safe. We unfold in a divine timing. And for each one of us, that may be different. It is different. But each time we embrace a part of us that we pushed away, each time we hold our inner child instead of silencing them, each time we let Shakti move through the grief, not around it, we awaken a little bit at a time. We remember a little bit at a time. Slow is better than no. And slowly the divine shines not just in our joy, but also in our trembling, in our awkwardness, in our longing, in the we're not enough, in the humanness, in all of it. There's no part that isn't sacred. There's no part that is not worthy of love. Wherever you are right now, take a breath. Let it go and relax. If you're not driving a car or operating heavy machinery, put your hand on your heart and feel the rhythm of your heart. Feel the rhythm of your body, of your temple. And repeat to yourself, loudly or silently, whisper to yourself, all of me is sacred. Even the parts I was told to hide, all of me is sacred. Even the parts I once judged, all of me is sacred. Even the parts of me I feared, all of me is sacred. I am a temple of awakening, and every emotion, every memory, every contraction, we can make that an offering of the divine. All of me is sacred. I welcome all of me here now. I don't have to fix it all today. I am here. I am listening. I am learning to love even this. All of me is sacred. And in this, may we find Shakti within ourselves. And may Shakti rise in her full radiant power, one breath at a time, one difficult feeling at a time, one sacred moment at a time. May you walk this path with courage, with faith in yourself, May you embrace yourself with tenderness. May you find the divine in every ache, in the longing, in the joy, in the sacred tantrum, in the mess. May we walk the path of awakened living, and may we embrace every part of ourselves. We are not broken. We are becoming. We are remembering. This is the path of awakened living. Hold yourself in love, in compassion, in empathy, in gentleness. And remember, who you are is the space in between each breath, is the love in between each breath. It's the love you give yourself. Thank you for joining me today. If this touched your heart, please share it with someone you love and really embrace yourself in your wholeness. Broken is not an option. You are whole. You are complete. And until next week, stay present, stay true to yourself, stay sacred in every part of ourself. And to the best of our ability, let's fill our hearts with love and try and express that in every single thing we do. Om Namah Shivaya. Namaste.